Well, hello again. The last video I made of the LaSharo didn't turn out that great when I was inside because the bright sunlight outside kind of screwed the camera up, and that's as good as it gets for that. But so I decided to come on a kind of a bit of a dreary day here, and I kind of closed the lines up, and that way I get a little better shot here. I'm sitting at the dinette here. It's kind of nice. It's actually kind of, well, it's rather spacious for such a little guy here. Anyways, I also plugged the camper in, so now see I get power. I can test and this panel is working. I really think I'm not getting low propane in the propane tank. So yeah. Anyways, and all these lights are working here. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. As a camper goes, it's not that bad. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to show you something here. And this is the second bed. When you make it up, when you recline those two seats and you put these pieces in here that they got. This one here seen better days. There you go. Another bed. I can sleep on that. It's got I don't know, probably over 4 inches of foam on it anyways, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, anyways, interior, yeah, not that bad. You can probably see it a little bit better now that the sun isn't shining through the window. And with this motorhome came the owner's manual and both service manuals, volume 1, volume 2. So I've got a lot of information here. Also, I did a little bit of investigating on what to do about the motor, and well, for about $1,000 I can get a good motor and put it in here. It's a bit of work, but it is a running motor, because there's an outfit down in the States, about an 8-hour drive from here, that does conversions on these. They basically remove the powertrain out the front, and they put in a V6 Chrysler powertrain instead of the Renault motor and transmission. It's a very, very pricey thing to have done to your LaSharo. It's we're looking at, it's close to $20,000. Boy, you gotta really love this thing in order to spend 20 grand on it. But anyways, what happens is they end up with motors and transmissions that are perfectly good. They've just removed them because that's what the customer wants. So they sell those motors to guys like me who don't want to pay a whole bunch of money for brand new stuff. So I would so I can buy one of those motors. I can put it in here. I can take the motor that I've got in here, put it on an engine stand, rebuild it, and keep it as a spare. So I can keep this thing alive for quite a while, because that's the whole problem with these things is the motors, and so if you look after the motor, apparently they're a really good motor. It's a 4-cylinder 8-valve motor, little cast iron guy. So if you keep the coolant system working good, and you always keep oil in it, the right oil in it, they're supposed to last a long time. This motor in here only lasted 66,000 miles, which is what, about 120,000 clicks. That's pretty pathetic. But everybody thinks that it was abused, and it could have been. You don't know how people drive these things. So anyways, so there's kind of a cool option. So this thing could be put back on the road again, without spending a whole lot of money on it. Yeah, but I think I'd love to do that. The other thing here is that when you look up at the ceiling, it is totally trashed. So there was obviously a leak in the roof at some point, but there is, other than the paneling that makes up the roof, the ceiling finish, there is no wood in this roof. It is a steel girder roof. Cool. And then it has a steel, I thought it was aluminum, but it's a steel skin on the top that wraps right around. That doesn't mean you can't leak, because you know, when you got a vent like this, you know, or the air conditioning unit there, you could have a leak. The other thing is that there's a bloody TV antenna up on the roof here somewhere too. I forget. Oh, it was right here. Anyways, you know, all that stuff is potential leaks if you don't keep the caulking and the roof sealing in good order. So being as I don't have to replace the whole roof, like strip it right off like I did with the fifth wheel and put a new roof back on, this is just the interior finishing that has to be redone. So this is just a matter of taking down these little kind of cupboards right here. They're just a bunch of little cupboards. They're just screwed up to the thing, you know. You got things like this here. All this comes down. Some screws come out, and you just basically rip this old ceiling down and decide what kind of material you're gonna use to put back up there. Lots of choices, right? And you know, maybe the foam insulation's looking kind of rough. You know, maybe the metal framing has started to rust a little bit, but that can be cleaned up and put some paint on it, keep it good again. Yeah. So I'm pretty impressed. So basically, these little motorhomes don't have a wooden structure to them like a lot of other RVs. It's all metal. So it's built like a van, more like a car or a van, than it is like an RV. But yet you've got all this space inside. It's pretty cool. So yeah, and yet I see these things abandoned in fields, and you know, I know of 2 in Beaverdale. I know of 2 out at Rock Creek, and there's a guy that's got a diesel one that's up on blocks just you know, in town here, and obviously doesn't know what to do with the motor, right? The motor's dead. What do you do, right? So, but a little bit of research, and you can find a way to fix these things up again. So I think they're worth it. Maybe they're only worth about you know, maybe $6,000 tops. So you got to be careful how much you spend. But hey, if you spent a couple of $1,000s and you had a perfectly good little RV, that would be pretty sweet, because you can't buy much for that, especially something you can drive. So and this thing would be really economical to drive, and you can park it in most places too. So I think there's a lot of pluses here. I'm pretty impressed, and there's quite a following on the internet too. So anyways, yeah. So we'll revisit this little guy later in the summer, though, to deal with the motor. All right.